Thanks, everyone. What a great house you are. What a wonderful audience you were. Really.
Where do I sit?
Yeah. You got every joke.
Where do you
Why
want
don't
to
you
sit?
sit over here?
Sit in the middle.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's put this on the floor. Would you mind helping me just put that?
Jay, before we start, we have a little something for Joan.
Thank you, thank you,
Look
thank
at-
you. It was best audience.
Yeah, the best.
Thank you.
She said, I feel like a ballerina.
No, I thought this was the best audience we've ever had.
By far. By
Thank you.
far. Some people in other parts of the country did not get everything. But,
Well, I mean, part of, I think the film opens a very honest and, fair treatment of the issue. I mean, I think it actually demystifies plastic surgery. I mean, I think that, I think there's a kind of cultural bias in places like Vermont against plastic surgery, probably.
Every place there's a
Because-
cultural bias.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not Hollywood.
Right. I don't think the film is necessarily pro-plastic surgery. I think that it allows the issue to breathe a bit, and you get to see, and the comedians who are the subjects are so vulnerable and sort of open themselves and sort of not sure, really, what direction they're taking, and so it becomes a human portrait of characters, and strong documentaries thrive through fabulous characters, and I think you have great characters in here.
well, Joan gets asked this at every screening. She gets asked by somebody in the audience, do you think is this a pro-plastic surgery movie? And Joan always says, I think it's pro-choice and pro-life. And I think it's a pretty good
So, and Bill, you're the producer, right?
Well, yeah, that's what my
I have
title
four
is.
You
Fine.
have 4 producers.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we had 5 producers, and I'm the producer too, so that's
Uh-huh.
6.
Now, tell me how you came to this subject, first of all. I mean, this is your first movie at, age of 89 or 88 when you were shooting. How long did it take to make it, first of all?
Took 4.5 years, and now it's 5.
Uh-huh,
By the
okay.
time we've been doing the festival circuit.
Okay, and so as your first movie, what caused you to think this would be a great
Oh,
film?
I feel it's my 6th movie.
Yeah, okay.
It's only my first, because I started I started with many other ideas, and I even started filming another one, and then I dropped it because I thought, oh no, this is never going to work, because the woman I was making the film about was in Australia, and I thought, this is kind of dumb.
Uh-huh. And what was the subject of that film?
She was a makeup artist who had invented the best cover-up for port wine stains that have ever been invented, and she had a wonderful story. But as we started working with her, I felt that she might have been exaggerating some aspects, and I wasn't happy about that, because I think a documentary has to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that that she had some psychological issues, and that also it would be very difficult to go to Australia because it was hard enough to raise money. So,
Sure, absolutely. And I think, the production value in the film, especially for a first film, it flows well. It's well paced. The characters come forward. It's a well-made documentary film.
well, you have to, as you know, most directors don't edit their own films, and you have to have good sense about it. I think I'm proud of the fact that I interviewed many editors, and I chose Nancy Novak, and I think she was just a brilliant editor. And when she came to be interviewed, she said, I don't know anything about plastic surgery, but I think this movie is strangely important.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed her some of the raw footage, and she loved it, and I loved her. And then as soon as she started work, she discovered she had breast cancer. And then she said, I have to quit. And I said, well, I'm not going to be that person who fires the person with cancer. So I said, we're just going to wait for you, that's all. And we did, we waited, and I'm thrilled that I waited. She came to my house every day for 8 months with an assistant editor who had started before her. And we had lunch together, we cooked in the kitchen, we cooked lunch every day, and discussed life, but we also discussed every aspect of the film. So she likes to say she got into my head, and I like to think that, you know, she represented my ideas, and I certainly worked side by side with the editors, but I don't do that. You know, it's like playing the piano. I don't know if you've ever seen film editing, but it is literally like playing the piano.
No, it's, there's a lot of technology involved, and also just an understanding of rhythm and pacing and how characters can be massaged and
Right. And
nuanced.
she had great instincts.
Yeah.
And, but there were also scenes that, you know, I learned a lot about filmmaking. I had to just teach myself. The editors, they like to think that they're in charge. And
Right.
at some point, you know, Martin Scorsese always says that he's not allowed in the editing room. But I was right there, and they would say, we want to try thus and so. And I said, nah, I don't know, but like, you can try it. And they would try something, and at one point they tried something that was very amusing, and we tested it on Friends. Everybody loved it, they were laughing. And I said, well, it's really great, and I think you should put it in somebody else's movie, but it doesn't belong in my movie. So, you know, it's choices that you make. Everything is a choice. There are, you know, 10 million small choices. And I think that my age helped me. I really do. I mean, I've been a journalist for 45 years, and I had, you know, a good sense of this subject because I covered plastic surgery for 25 years for Allure magazine. I felt I understand the subject. I understand what I hate about the way the subject is depicted in other people's films and on reality television, and I wanted to make a movie that was not like any of those.
And what do you hate about the way it's depicted in those films?
Well, they always show the extreme. They show extreme characters who perhaps want more than anybody ever imagined, more than, you know, the real plastic surgery patient is somebody who's a little dissatisfied with one or two things and wants it fixed. She's not an addict. She doesn't go in for surgery every 6 months. And she just wants a little something done, and then she's happy. And I say she because 90% of the patients are 85 to 90% because it's slipping a little towards men. But they're women. And that's what this movie is about, the pressure on women to be self-conscious about their appearance. Men are less self-conscious, and therefore they have less surgery, but they're getting there.
Yeah, and that's brought up the whole question that it can become addictive, and of course you have Michael Jackson, who sort of seems to go to an extreme. And
well, I think that we needed to answer something about Michael Jackson. And when I first met Emily, I had no idea about her background. I had no idea that she had abuse in her background. And she seemed, to me, she seemed very grounded. She didn't like her nose. She's an actress. She realized that she could photograph better, and it was just a choice. And then when I was in Pittsburgh, I went to Pittsburgh, and I thought, you know, I don't know anything about filmmaking. I audited a course in filmmaking where I met some of the greatest documentary filmmakers, and I learned a lot just from listening to them.
You're
and
being
watching
very
their
modest.
films.
She's being very modest. She told a friend of hers, Andrea Miller, who's one of the producers, she said, Andrea, I want to make a film. And Andrea said, that's very easy, just write a check. And she said, no, I really want to make a film. And Andrea said, well, then you've got to go to school, you've got to learn. And she did, and that was 5 years ago. And
Well, we can discuss that later.
Well,
But I knew what I did not like about other people's films. I'd been in other people's films, and every time I would see the film, I was a talking head in other people's plastic surgery films and television shows, because I was always the go-to person in television when they wanted to discuss it. I mean, I was the only journalist in America, maybe the world, who was covering plastic surgery full-time for a popular magazine. So I would see how they would use me, and I would see these films, and I would say to myself, I think I could do better.
yeah.
But I didn't know what I didn't know, which was fine. You know?
And what is
But
your background?
one of the things I wanted was variety. I said I don't want a six sofa documentary. Now I don't know
You chose
if you.
comedians, first of all. You chose comedians as,
Oh, that was
as
a
an
mistake.
angle.
That was because of Bill. That came very late. But I knew that I didn't want, six people lined up on their own living rooms and go back and forth to the six people, which is so many documentaries are done that way. And so I wanted variety in the scenes, and that's why we went wedding dress shopping, and that's why we went to see Emily's mother, and that's why I introduced Jackie to Emily. I was thinking of every way that I could make scenes that were not cliches, and that would have some variety in them. And that's why we had Jackie in a costume fitting and Jackie performing. So those are things that they were just my instincts. I'll take credit for that.
you should. There's a lot to look at in this film.
But Bill knew, Bill and Adrian, his wife, who died last December, and Adrian was a stand-up comedian, and that's a whole story in itself. And they knew that I was looking for a film, and that I had some false starts and some ideas that were too expensive. And one day, three of us were talking, and I was trying to show them how much I knew about comedy, showing off a little. And I said, the only people who are honest about plastic surgery are comedians. And then I named some names because I had written a book on the history of the facelift, and I had a whole chapter on Hollywood, and I had a couple of paragraphs about that. And so, and then Bill or Adrian or both said to me,
There's your movie.
"That's your movie,
Yeah.
Joan."
And Joan said, what, you mean female comics and plastic surgery? And my wife, Adrian, said, yes, and we'll help you. We know everybody. And Adrian introduced her to Julie
Right.
Halston and Judy Gold. And then from Julie, you got
Right,
Jackie.
and then Julie introduced me to Lisa Lampanelli,
Nellie,
and
right,
that's,
yeah.
I mean, without that, and that's why I made them executive producers.
That's all it takes. Frightening.
Because I already had 3 producers.
Yeah, it's,
So all he needed was someone to say, good idea, let's do it.
Well,
We can help."
I saw some value in him.
yeah.
And he's turned out to be very helpful on certain issues that we've had, talking to people who might not have trusted me, and putting in a good word, and both he and Adrian were fabulous, and it wouldn't be the same film without them.
And Bill, your background includes working as a writer for David Letterman.
Yeah, I worked for Dave Letterman for 24 years, and I heard a gasp.
Yes, and he was in charge, and he wrote the monologues.
Yeah, I was his
Okay, he
monologue.
won't
I was
tell
one of
you.
his monologues. That was thoroughly undeserved, and and we didn't know each other until like 9 years ago. We didn't even know.
Oh, yes, we're cousins.
Yeah, we're cousins.
I forgot to tell you.
That's the
I
other
forgot to tell
thing.
you that. I was watching the David Letterman show one night, and I see David Letterman interviewing Bill, who had just written a novel, and I said, "Oh, I think that's my cousin. I heard that I have a cousin who works for David Letterman. I'm going to look him up."
Right.
And I looked him up, and I wrote to him, and sure enough.
And we live 7 blocks away from each other. We didn't even know that. Yeah. And so that's how we met. And
That's how we met. We became friendly,
Yeah.
and I had no idea that he was going to end up being a partner in my movie.
Yeah.
And but I had no idea I was going to be a filmmaker.
So,
It just happened.
well, I mean, the comic performances, the comic timing is all very good in the film. I mean, how did you guys collaborate to think that through? I mean, Bill, did you get involved in the editing at all? In terms
no,
of-
I
It had
just saw no.
absolutely nothing to do with it.
Absolutely. I was going to say that. No, I saw the rough cut, and I said, "Oh, this is
He was
great."
one of the first people
And then,
to see
right,
it. And
I
he-
said, "This is great." I thought she was done, which shows you how much I know. And then there were many, many incarnations after that.
We had
And
100 cuts, 100 cuts of the film. And then we thought that was a good moment to stop.
There's a saying in the movie business that films never get finished, just abandoned.
Not with me. I was bound and determined. I tried many times to quit, and Bill and a few close friends know. I would wake up in the middle of the night after some Hollywood company was very difficult about wanting to sell me a clip, and I would be tearing my hair out, and then I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd say, "I can't do this," and I would even take notes. I would write, "Oh, I better take notes on this," and I would write a little diary of all the reasons I had to quit, and then I would call 3 or 4 people who I was very close to and said, "I really think I'm giving it up." And then they would all say, "Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't quit."
Yeah, and you can't. It's a many-layered film, as you can attest to, but also it's a great story in perseverance, and and her story is a wonderful story.
And you designed, who remembers Howdy Doody? Anybody remember Howdy Doody? Yes. Joan designed Clarabelle the Clown's
Well, I didn't
costume.
design. I inherited Clarabelle when I joined NBC in 1949 when I was about 21 years old. And I was hired as costume designer, which was what I had thought that was my goal in life, to be a costume designer. And we were doing all live television at NBC, and one of our shows was Howdy Doody, and I was assigned Clarabelle. Now, Clarabelle already had his costume, but he had these ruffs, these pink ruffs, and he perspired a lot, and they got very limp, and so he had to have 3 ruffs a week, and I personally sewed 3 ruffs a week for Clarabelle. Whatever they needed a new kerchief. I went to Yale to find a new kerchief for
Didn't you
Howdy.
get yelled at by the puppet a couple of times during Howdy Doody? Weren't you called into the trailer, Howdy Doody's trailer?
And I named my first dog, a Cocker Spaniel, Clarabelle. So this is the whole 6 degrees
Really?
of separation.
Oh my God, we have something
There you go.
Something that
Yeah.
binds us
Should we
together.
take a couple questions from the audience?
Yeah, let's
If you
take
have
questions.
something they'd like to ask?
Why isn't anybody
Yeah.
leaving? They're
Yeah.
all here. In every other city, they start
Yeah.
leaving.
Does anybody want to ask a question? We can keep talking here for sure, but if anybody has anything, yes, right here.
Is the film going to be out for distribution?
How's it going to be seen? How's the film going to be seen? What's the distribution plan?
Oh, we've had offers from 8 distributors. We've talked to all of them, and we're probably going to make a decision next week. We have one big meeting tomorrow. Our lawyer's talking to somebody else's lawyer. And so we may have a decision next week.
And what about, do you have some other news?
Do I
Tell
have
the
news?
people.
Oh, we're going to be, we're going to enter the,
Yeah, it's a pretty big.
we're
news.
going to enter the Academy Awards. I'm totally insane,
Yeah.
and it's just fun to say it. You see how much applause I got?
Which means there's going to be a limited theatrical release 1 week in New
Right.
York City and 1 week in Los Angeles.
In order to
October.
enter the Academy Awards, you have to show the film for 2 weeks, 1 week in New York and 1 week in LA, or you cannot enter the Academy Awards. And therefore, we have rented theater in New York, starting Friday, October 6th for 1 week, and then in Santa Monica starting October 13th for 1 week. And you don't do any of these things alone. There's always an agent, there's always a special person. You
Almost
can't
yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
how difficult and complicated and expensive every little move is. But I've just gone crazy. That's it.
There you go. That explains it all. So are you thinking about another film at all?
Am I thinking about another one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Making
I'm
another movie.
working on it.
You're working on it, all
I'm
right.
working on it, but
Well-
I'm so busy working on this one because what's called the deliverables, have you ever heard that word?
Yeah.
The
Cringe every time I hear the
deliverables, in order to go on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, what they call VOD, video on demand. Look at all the words I know. In order to do that, you have to jump through like 100 hoops and I have 6 people working for me now, just preparing the deliverables. I mean, you have to have all the music cues, and of course I had to upgrade all my licenses to perpetuity. Don't ask.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You have a lot of
All the
stock
music
footage. Yeah.
to perpetuity. Just think of it. Jackie Hoffman wakes up from her facelift and she's singing, what does she sing?
I feel pretty.
I Feel Pretty, which
Wow.
was already in the film once.
Right.
Well, then it's in the film twice. These are legal issues.
Sure.
We will not discuss.
Now, I'm not going to say what it is, but we were at a festival and Joni says to me, I can't wait till, this is done and out and so I can get on with my next film. And she tells me the idea for her next film, and I said, well, that's all great, but I think your next film is we're going to get a camera, and we're just going to put it on you, and you're going to talk for 2 hours, and that's going to be your next film, because that's so much more interesting, your life and what you
I
do.
have no interest in that. No, I'm making my next film. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but it's going to be an animation because I feel I can do that sitting down. I just didn't sit
One more
down with the
question.
animators.
I saw one other hand here. Does anybody have another? Yes, right back there.
What was the most difficult thing in making the movie?
What was the most difficult thing in making the movie?
The most difficult thing in making the movie was, I think, facing up to the fact that every time you have a film clip that you didn't shoot yourself, you want to shoot yourself because it's so expensive. And I didn't want to give up there was certain music I wanted, and I didn't want to give that up, and I didn't want to give up my film clips, and everybody warned me, you have to give these things up. And my lawyer would even tell me, you know, it's just too expensive, you can't have it. And I say, we will find a way, that's all.
Yeah.
It was really hard, and so I used to go around saying I'm in licensing hell.
Yes,
Licensing
I made a
hell.
film in the year 2001 that had stock footage in it, and I had to pay $92 a second for the
Right.
stock footage.
Right.
Um,
92.
But from a movie.
92.
$92
Yes.
a second.
You
That's
talked
right.
him down from 96, I'm
That's
sure.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you use excerpts of movies, when I was negotiating,
Oh,
this, it was
crazy,
minimum
yeah.
$10,000 if you only use 5 seconds.
Yes, we have things where we use 1 or 2 seconds. And it doesn't matter if they have a minimum, the minimum you have to pay for 30 seconds and you're
Right.
only using 4 seconds. But thanks to Bill, he helped me on some very big issues. And that, I mean, that's what he was useful for.
Nothing else.
Bill's also a lawyer.
Yeah.
He had
All right, we'll
friends
give it
in
to
the
you. Please
business.
stop calling us. That was basically what I
They said, what company do you need a friend at?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's a fabulous film. It's an unbelievable first film. The idea that you're onto a second film is
Just an
exciting.
unbelievable first film, I don't
I
want
said
to
it's a
compare-
fabulous film. Then I said it's a
Oh,
fabulous
okay,
first
all
film.
right.
All right, come
I don't want any qualifiers.
on. If I were to get some work, what should I have done?
Everybody ends up in the end, that's what it comes down to. People come up to me at every film festival and they go like this. What do I need? And this is my answer. I don't have insurance for this.
Thank you very much, Joan.
Thank you.